I don't know who the fuck you really are or what you want with these people, but could you do me a favor?
Welcome back to Your Nerdy Show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, where we dive deep into the psychological thriller Surface on Apple TV+. In today's video, we're recapping and breaking down everything that happened in Season 2, Episode 5. This episode takes us deeper into Sophie's past, her identity, and the complicated webs surrounding the Huntley family. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's get into it.
He told Phoebe some things about his grandfather, that those rumors about
Sophie's search for her identity. The episode opens with Sophie at the Huntley family estate, where things are far from settled. After her encounter with Eliza in the previous episode, Sophie is grappling with the memories that keep resurfacing, memories that suggest she may have been to the estate before, even as a child. This brings us to the burning question: is Sophie really a member of the Huntley family? Eliza wakes up the morning after their intense reunion, and you can immediately tell there's tension in the air. Eliza's clearly unsure about Sophie's motives and feels like something's off. She's left with the aftermath of the previous night's emotions, but things take a turn when Anne, Eliza's niece, fills in some of the blanks for her. Anne reveals that Sophie, or Tess, as she's been known, left the estate early that morning, claiming she was headed back to London, but there's something odd about her departure. She didn't seem like someone who had a peaceful night of sleep. It doesn't take long for Anne's suspicions to grow. As she takes a closer look around the house, she notices a few key things. The study door was left ajar, and there's a lamp still switched on. Anne's sharp eye leads her to the photographs of Emma Antoine Day, Sophie's mother. Anne quickly realizes that Sophie had sneaked into the darkroom, seen the photos, and been distressed enough to leave in a hurry. This confirms something Anne had been harboring for a while. Sophie isn't just some stranger. She's a Huntley, Emma's daughter. The resemblance is undeniable. This brings us to an even bigger revelation. Anne knew about Sophie's true identity all along. She knew that Sophie was James's illegitimate daughter, and it's likely that she helped bury that truth years ago. The mystery surrounding Sophie's past is unraveling, and it's clear that she's been on a journey to uncover her real identity. The moment when Anne calls her brother Henry to share her findings is pivotal. It solidifies the idea that Sophie has been searching for answers all this time, and now the Huntley family has to face the truth about their past.
I want to know how she found us, where she was before.
Sophie's childhood unveiled. Later in the episode, Sophie takes a crucial step forward in her search for the truth. She visits her old childhood apartment in the hopes of unlocking more memories about her past. There, she meets a kind woman who used to be friends with Sophie's mother, Emma. The woman immediately recognizes Sophie, but what's significant is that she doesn't call her Tess. She refers to her as Sophie, which is a name she didn't use while living in the UK. This small detail sends a wave of realization through Sophie. The elderly woman shares some details about Sophie's family, confirming that James Huntley once loved Emma. However, James's father, William Huntley, disapproved of their relationship, and that's ultimately what drove them apart. James did provide child support for a while, but eventually stopped, and Emma had to raise Sophie on her own. It's now clear that Sophie's real identity is more entwined with the Huntley family than she could have ever imagined. As Sophie learns more about her mother's past, she begins to piece together the puzzle of her own identity. The revelation about William Huntley's refusal to let his son marry a black woman adds another layer of complexity. Sophie's true heritage is not just about who her father is, it's about the prejudice and racism that shaped her family's history.
Do you still have the music box and photo of your mom that I held on to for you?
James's desperate request for help. While Sophie is uncovering her past, James is dealing with his own problems. In a surprising twist, he reaches out to Sophie for help. After a night of intimacy with Quinn's fiancée, Grace, it seemed like James would distance himself even more from Sophie, but that's not what happens. He calls Sophie and asks to meet with her in public. James admits that after his wife faked her suicide and stole a large sum of money, he's been trying to pay the money back to the company to avoid any legal trouble. However, he's now deep in debt and owes a significant amount of money to a criminal source. Desperate, he asks Sophie to lend him $100,000. Sophie is understandably shocked by this request. She's been through so much with James, and now he's asking for her financial help. What's truly important here is the way Sophie responds to James. Despite everything he's put her through, she decides to trust him again. She reveals to him that her real reason for coming to London wasn't to start a new life, but to find out what happened to her mother. James, in a moment of vulnerability, agrees to help her with her quest for answers. He takes Sophie to her childhood apartment, where the elderly woman confirms everything Sophie had suspected about her mother's past. Later that evening, Sophie seems to trust James enough to show him her new apartment, and even reveals how she's been making crypto transactions with the help of a password-protected thumb drive. She decides to send James money, $500,000 to be exact. But what Sophie doesn't know is that James has no intention of actually appreciating her gesture. As James leaves her apartment, we see him pull out his phone and jot down the password to Sophie's crypto transactions. This moment is a huge red flag. Despite the vulnerability he showed earlier, James is still plotting against Sophie. His true intentions are not to help her, but to steal from her. It's clear that Sophie has made a huge mistake by trusting him again, and we're left wondering what he plans to do with the information he's just gathered.
Where'd you get the name Tess Caldwell?
I found it in a passport in a store.
Phoebe's death and the Huntley family's dark secrets. While Sophie and James are entangled in their own drama, the mystery surrounding Phoebe Davis's death continues to loom over the Huntley family. We learn more about Quinn's feelings toward Phoebe, and it's clear that her death has had a profound impact on him. However, when Quinn confronts his father, Henry, about Phoebe's murder, we sense a brewing conflict. Quinn believes that Henry is responsible for ordering Phoebe's death. This theory makes sense, especially when we consider that Henry has been obsessed with protecting the family name and its reputation. Phoebe had learned too much about the Huntleys, and her connection to Quinn made her a liability. So Henry likely ordered her death to prevent any more family secrets from spilling out. The tension between father and son reaches a boiling point when Henry reveals that the Huntley family has been keeping even more secrets from the younger generation. In a shocking revelation, Henry tells his children about Emma and their illegitimate daughter, Sophie. This news shakes the Huntley family to its core and adds even more fuel to the fire. The bonds between Quinn, Grace, and the rest of the family are strained to the breaking point, and it's clear that things will never be the same again.
To hide it. I was building a case.
Jesus Christ.
Callum's investigation and Sophie's true identity. As the investigation into Sophie's past continues, Callum and Claire make a breakthrough. They trace Sophie's first ever records to a government transitional facility called St. David's. But when they investigate further, they realize that the address listed leads them to a church, not a government facility. Callum sneaks into the church archives and uncovers a file that bears the name Tess Caldwell. However, this isn't the same Tess Caldwell that Callum knows. The file belongs to a different girl, one who died as a child. This confirms that Sophie's identity has been falsified. Her true name isn't Tess Caldwell at all. The Huntleys orchestrated an elaborate scheme to put Sophie up for adoption and gave her a completely new identity to avoid any legal repercussions. The truth is out. Sophie is not just a Huntley by blood. She was deliberately hidden away from the world. The church played a pivotal role in this cover-up, and now Sophie is finally starting to piece together the truth about who she really is. In the final moments of the episode, Callum confronts Sophie with the file he discovered. As Sophie looks at the picture of Father Martin, the founder of the church, memories from her childhood come flooding back. The scene from episode 4, where a young Sophie stared into the fireplace, now makes perfect sense. Sophie's journey to uncover the truth is far from over, and the Huntley family's dark secrets are beginning to unravel.
You cash my checks. You owe me information. That's the deal.
Our Nerdy Thoughts. Season 2, Episode 5 of Surface has delivered some major revelations, but there's still so much more to come. Sophie is finally getting closer to the truth about her identity, but as she uncovers more about her past, the consequences for the Huntley family are becoming impossible to ignore. James is still playing his own game, and it's clear that the family's dark secrets are far from over. We can only imagine what twists and turns are ahead for Sophie as she navigates her complicated relationship with the Huntleys and the mysteries surrounding her past. Will she finally get the answers she's been searching for? And how will the Huntleys react to the truth coming out? We'll have to wait and see in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Surface recaps and theories. See you in the next one.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.